So we would now like to move on to the panel discussion on whether brands in India have been really successful in understanding their customers and getting closer to them. This will be moderated by Mr. Shankar Iyer. We would also like to welcome Ms. Anuradha Sathe, Ms. Kalpana Ajayan, and Ms. Vaishali Thakur as our panelists today. But first, allow me to introduce them to you. Mr. Iyer, our moderator, heads the customer success function at Infobip India. He comes with over 16 years of business experience in telecommunication, ITES, and e-commerce industries. Shankar has been enabling large enterprises to grow their businesses and get them started on their digital journey and recommend solutions to build their communication infrastructure. Transforming traditional businesses to know their customers better with new age communication technology has been his focus all this while. He has previously worked with organizations like Reliance Communications and Vodafone, leading their enterprise business. He has also managed large private sector units and banks to grow the telecom infrastructure from mobility to large complex data centers across the globe. Allow me to also introduce our eminent panelists today. Ms. Anuradha Sathe is the Director of Customer Experience Global at Lenovo. She leads customer experience for Lenovo PCSD globally. She has been with Lenovo for the past 6 years and has worked through roles aligned with commercial and SMB marketing prior to joining the customer experience team. As a leader, she drives global strategic initiatives to accelerate growth in the personal computers business, identifying opportunities to enhance, re-engineer, or create new data-driven solutions. As a result-oriented leader with over 20 years of experience across various functions, Anuradha brings forth an expertise that has helped to establish numerous projects in domestic and international marketplaces. Prior to Lenovo, Anuradha has worked with established brands like HP, Godrej, Kimberly-Clark, Reliance, and Hindustan Unilever Limited. Throughout her various roles, she has been leading multilingual, multicultural virtual teams and managing stakeholder relationships across functions, levels, and geographies. Our second panelist today is Ms. Kalpana Ajayan, the Group Head of Customer Experience at Edelweiss Financial Services. Kalpana is an experienced financial services professional with a proven record in the insurance domain. A leader with strengths in strategy, execution, and managing P&L responsibilities. Skilled in building and leading teams. An expert in sales and customer service. Experience across functions and exposure to varied industries has shaped her philosophy in customer experience, which is based on the 3 pillars of customers, intermediaries, and employees. And our third panelist today is Ms. Vaishali Thakur, Head Customer Service at Praxis Home Retail Limited. She brings with her 19 years of customer experience and service delivery experience across retail, telecom, e-commerce, and she heads the customer service and service Praxis Home Retail Limited. The pioneer in retail representing the brand Hometown. She is responsible for best-in-class service delivery across all the touch points. She has been instrumental in leading the customer experience areas like seamless omni-channel experience, shared services, improvement, and insights through NPS and developing CRM strategies. Again, before we start the session, I would like all of you to please keep your lines on mute. And without further ado, over to you, Mr. Iyer, to kick off the panel discussion.
Thank you, Nisha. How much time do we have? I just cross-check before I jump onto my questions, and I give enough time to panelists as well.
Say 25 minutes and say 5 minutes for questions, if that's okay, or,
okay.
20 minutes.
All right. Okay, so I had my bundle of questions for a little more time, but now that you've given me only 25 minutes, I'll try my best to squeeze in most of these questions. So let me just start. I think thanks, Aman, for that insight on customer experience. I think the takeaway is from an inconvenient customer experience to an aspirational customer experience. Is the journey, and today's world is about physical and digital both, so making it more seamless in that offering and creating that aspirational experience. I believe that's the takeaway, and on that note, and a good afternoon to all of you. Today we've gathered to discuss some of the key aspects of the brand's journey. I think we heard about customer journey. It's about the brand's journey in creating that customer advocacies, the customer advocates for the brand. And it all starts from creating a great experience to a delighted experience, and then moving on further and ensuring that customer advocates for that brand or returns that value in terms of advocacy. We've seen customers playing different kinds of roles as far as advocates are concerned, and very interesting roles. I mean, they are some brand ambassadors, they are guardians of a brand, they are role models, they are self-defined consultants, franchises, anything. That's the passion which I picked up that word from one of my conversation, and I feel that's what we want from all of them as a brand. And once we achieve that, I believe that's the moment of achievement for every brand, and the feeling of we've delivered beyond expectations. I think that's where we all are trying to reach. And on that note, I would turn on to my panelist and once again welcome all of you. So I will turn to Kalpana first. Kalpana, my question to you is: these are critical times across industries, and the financial sector was asked to deviate on asset norms for retail and SMB customers. I think Kalpana, you're on mute. I'm just getting some noise from your end. Kalpana, can you hear me? Yeah. Oh, I lost Kalpana. Great. I'll just put my question across, Kalpana, and then I think you can unmute. So what I was just saying, that these are critical times, and we all know that the financial sector was asked to deviate on the asset norms for retail and SMB customers. What's been your experience so far? Because as an organization, how are you preparing to engage with customers when you go back to normal way of life after we hope that the COVID gets over quickly?
The current times now is to communicate. I think that's the most important aspect of a customer experience.
I think, Kalpana, I believe your network is probably, I don't know, it's only me or it's across, but I think it's a little unstable. But I was trying to understand from the bits and pieces what you're mentioning is the communication is the key during these times with your customers, and I think that's the key area in SM. Yeah. All right, I'll just come back to you. I think once your network stabilizes a little bit, I think I'll be back to you again with one more question. Meanwhile, I'll just put my second question to Anuradha. Anuradha, if you can, so the question here is, while I was asking Kalpana about the criticality of these times, but the other side of the story is the digital initiatives which were sitting in the back benches have become the top priority for senior management now, especially when you're engaging with customer needs, because you're now away from your customers, right? So information technology has been a key driver for such initiatives, which is a fact. But do you see these adoptions to stay for a long time, or these are like some temporary times to go on, and we will probably see some different kind of experiences coming out?
Thank you, Shankar. Great question. I think, and I'm going to talk from the India perspective at this point, while global, we will see a
Absolutely.
little different way because the maturity in terms of engaging on digital platform changes market to market, right? Now, if you see India perspective, especially from the COVID times, and I will talk on behalf of Lenovo, but also as an IT industry, as you rightly put, engagement on the digital platforms grew multifold. The regular customer who would walk up to the store is now trying to get the same experience and same information more on the digital platforms. Earlier also, customers were doing research online, but going to the store for that personalized experience. Interestingly, Amandeep touched upon a point called human touch. And I'm going to bring that point back here because you guys would find it interesting. Okay. In the Indian customers' perspective, while they're okay doing research online and doing things online, they still want to see and feel the product. So, as a company, we actually brought the retail experience to the homes of people. And when you ask me, is it going to stay? Whenever there's a challenging time, a customer would expect a hybrid experience. We actually started bringing products to their homes to give them live demo. Just the way you would go to a corporate customer to give a live demo, we brought these products to the customers to give a live demo. We launched something called as a PC Pal. Anybody who's confused, because there's a huge shift for a non-PC user to go to a PC user. Every school child who was regularly going to school now was looking for a laptop because most of the education became remote, right? And it was a sudden surge that happened. A lot of people who were used to using desktops in their offices switched to laptops because, and I'm sure Kalpana will support this, a lot of financial institutions let go of their restrictions in terms of having a mobile device. So there was a surge of requirement from everybody, whether it's a homemaker who wants to, have access to things or help teach a child, to a professional who earlier was not looking at a mobile device, now looking at mobile device. So launch something called as a PC Pal, where a person could get a guidance online based on their requirements as to what product could be best suited for them. And if we did not have a product in our portfolio, we actually offered advice on what competition product could suit them. So this is taking a step way above than just being a brand who's engaging to sell the products of our own, but being an industry leader and a thought leader, keeping the customer need in the center of everything. Customer need is more important than the product they buy from me or someone else, right? So we did this hybrid thing, and then giving a demo for our products, going home wherever required, because some age group, some people are still in that in between phase of being comfortable, not comfortable, doing entire transaction, entire activity online and getting the product delivered. And during COVID time, again, there was a fear of this contamination. People, could be infected and stuff like that. So we brought the products with touchless delivery. We started picking up products or service with touchless pickup and touchless delivery. So multiple things. If you see, a lot of transactions requests move to online, but we move to a hybrid model to keep our customers still feel that they're getting that experience that they needed, and they're making that decision based on that experience. So for your question, while I see, yes, we will continue to see the engagement increase day by day online, because a lot more people are getting more and more comfortable, even people who haven't done this before. But we still see that the human touch would not lose its touch in this entire transaction. We can't hear you, Shankar. You're on mute.
Thank you for letting me know, because I wanted to keep the background noise minimal. But yeah, but you touched upon 2-3 things. I think you answered one of my future question in between, but I don't want to tell you what you answered. But at the same time, you mentioned about in between situation, and I think that's my next question to Vaishali, where the in between situation is basically talking about retail industry, where you come from, Vaishali, where today, the footfall count metrics versus how many people clicked on your link. That is the, in between situation for a retail industry, because that's the cusp in which the retail is right now, physical to digital mode. Though everyone is part of it, might be the stress is a little more on your industry. And the question to you is in that, how do you manage customer behavior when it comes to physical shopping versus digital, where your experience, customer experience, relies a lot on physical touch?
Yeah, as an organization, we believe that a direct and focused approach to customer service is imperative to meet the expectations and also accommodate the change in the customer behavior. And with this thought, I think we have progressively gone towards an omni-channel model, and also enabled our digital channels. But as rightly covered by Anuradha, it's no more only digital or only physical now. So it's like we have to enable the stores to be digital now. So this is a new thing which has come now. Okay, so we call it phygital now. So like we have taken initiatives where I mean
But sorry to interrupt you. Phygital experience is the same like physical experience? That's the
yes.
question which I think a lot of people would like to know.
Yes, so physical, the kind of product what we deal in, it's majorly a furniture or your homeware products or your kitchen products, where it's less of just looking at the picture and selecting. It's more of the feel of the product, how it is. Customer wants to touch the product. So what we have seen is during the time of this pandemic situation, even after attending the customer's apprehension of how we are giving sanity and taking care of the precautions and all, customers were not very comfortable initially walking into the stores, and that's how we realized that we had to bridge this gap. And that's how we came out with the solution and we have taken an initiative where customers can look at the product sitting at their home. Okay, so now for a customer, their mobile phone or their laptop is a store now. Okay, so they can see our product which is there displayed in the store by doing a virtual calling. Okay, so what happens is, I'll explain you the flow. What happens is the customer is interested in a product on a website, and he asks for a service call, asks for a demo, and this salesperson would then accept this, schedule it, and show the product which is there on the display to the customer, and try to build this gap by at least showing the product, the color, the texture of the product, how soft it is, how hard it is. And this has really helped, plus what we saw is like there was a huge surge in the office furniture, which was for
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. You're right. I think this is where I think we could have ideally been in a banquet hall discussing this session, and now we are on a video call. And I think that's what exactly has happened in all businesses, right? I mean, we've tried demonstrating that, but I think the question still remains. Though we might not want to answer it directly, but the question still remains that that experience of obviously sitting on a sofa versus watching it on a video is going to remain, and obviously for good reasons. We want to keep it that way for now, at least with the environment not good. But then let's come to the other part is Kalpana. I think now we have a good connectivity. If I can ask you. In the world of ROI, where people invest to see what kind of returns they can look into, and with different kinds of financial instruments available. Traditionally, if I have to invest, I need to have a reference who is a human being, right? He's a friend, is a known person or somebody. But with a lot of digital things coming in, those things are also influencing customer behavior. How far the experience of the customer has changed with the digital thing versus the human references?
What I understand, Shankar, is that financial services, compared to other industries, have been far up the curve as far as adopting technology is concerned. We've all been customers. When was the last time you visited a branch, right? I probably visited when there was demonetization. I mean, and I was a banker at that point in time. I was with HSBC at that point in time, right? I mean, so the fact of the matter is, financial services customers are far up the chain when it comes to using technology wisely. Having said that, there's a segment of customers that do prefer personalized services. They do want an RM at the end of the phone. I use my Premier Services RM when I want something to be done in a hurry. I pick up the phone and I tell him, can I get this delivered? Can I do this? So it's this omni-channel experience that's always been the feature of financial services. So what has probably happened is a lot more customers have started using this much more. So the frequency of usage. And the second is, of course, in terms of the kind of interactions that you would not use it previously, you're beginning to use them more. So for instance, our that we have on the retail wealth side, right? it's seen. I mean, and this is a global phenomenon. Suddenly people are very concerned about money and everybody thinks he or she is a trader. And so, well, it's good for us because we're seeing this huge surge in volumes where everybody is trading, but we've also cautioning them, telling them, just be careful about what you need to do. So to the previous question that you asked, and just circling back to that, Shankar, communication during the COVID times is crucial because what you do in these times is going to set the metric post-COVID. Now, are we being, selfish and short-term visioned, and going after the short-term goals during this period actually is going to pretty much dictate, how your customer is going to perceive you for the rest of his life. These are crucial moments. How are you treating him with empathy? So when the moratorium was announced for our loan customers, explain to the loan customers that it's not good for him or her to actually opt for the moratorium. It's actually bad for his credit history. So you needed to actually tell him these kind of things. Now he's going to thank you 1 year down the line when he actually finds not impacted as much as somebody who actually opted for it, right? So it's important, it's important to be authentic. It's important to be trustworthy. It's important to truly put the customer's interest in heart, in all our dealings. And chat, all of that is just the means. Ultimately, it's the intent. And that actually stems from senior management. So the senior management's got to walk the talk in these crucial times so that it percolates down the level and everybody understands that these are not for short-term gains.
Absolutely.
That I think is very, very crucial. The culture component in an organization.
I think you touched upon a very valid point of intent. I think the intent of I think very in similar lines, Anuradha also mentioned that the intent of being a industry player and not a brand itself. And you mentioned the intent of saying that moratoriums are need based and not an not a convenience. Okay, so do not find the convenience because it can turn into an inconvenient way of living tomorrow. And I think the education on financial facts are not that great, as you rightly said. People come in. So I think my next question is leading to that. So I will rather continue the question with you. Which says the new generation, right? Those are the generation which when I say new generation, I say 24 to 40. We are all a new generation, I believe. But that age group wants fast money. They believe in trading. There are a lot of surge in that particular age group coming into trade. But then these are informed customers. Okay, these are not those customers where they want to learn from you, know from you. They're well aware of a lot of things. And when they come, obviously they don't want information. They want great experience from you because they already have the information. Now, what happens in this is not all prospects become customers, but as a brand, you would definitely want to have these people to stay as a good referral and advocate. Tell me something on how do you build silent advocates, if I have to put it that way. These are not your customers, but they still want to talk about their experience.
I'd answer it in two ways, Shankar. One is actually seeking feedback from customers much earlier in the journey itself, right? Customer journey itself. I start for some of the businesses, not all of my businesses, but some of my businesses, I actually start seeking the feedback stage right at the prospect level. So knowing fully well that he may not even end up buying my product, but it's very crucial for me to understand how his or her experience was. Similarly, related to this, I mean, is that's the same thing that we've applied in our employee experience, because again, I bring the point back to if my employees are not good customers, they cannot deliver a great customer experience. So how are they experiencing the brand Edelweiss? Only then will that conviction be there as well, right? So even in the case of employee experience, for instance, we're probably one of the very few companies where we seek feedback from all the candidates that appear. Because, if 3 out of 10 get selected, but there's 7 out of them who are out there, and if they've had a bad experience with Edelweiss, it doesn't matter whether he or she is a customer. You understand? He or she has experienced the brand. And so therefore, he or she then starts going around, what? They told me the interview was at 3 o'clock, man, they didn't even provide me a chai. I was there till about 4:30. What a terrible experience. I don't want to be associated with that company. Look what's happening to your brand, right? So it's very important to have a broader vision of what how the people have to experience the brand. And so to be very mindful of the prospect stage itself is one way in which you're able to educate and more importantly, inform them and about the expectation. If you're going to set them up at a level where you can't providing the services, well, you're setting yourself to fail very clearly. You can't be promising the sun, moon, earth, and then all that. The picture that Amandeep showed of the Great Wall of China, where he thought he was going to be cruising along with two people, and then he's just, he's a bunch, he's with the herd, right? So that's very important to set expectations. And I think at the prospect stage is a wonderful opportunity for you to actually set the expectations.
Yeah, I think you answered my question very well of starting the journey pretty early. And I think in one of my introduction note, I mentioned there are different role models. One of them was even your employees are your customer advocates, and the bigger the size you are, you're creating that many advocates in the market. And I think very well said. And in fact, I probably a thought beyond that is who is not an employee is also a silent advocate to an extent. So I think I take that. And another, I know you've been patiently hearing us for some time. So you said, you told me that we've created great technological products to understand customers, but we still want to put that human touch to it. And my question is around that, where we've seen that technology in itself inherently can naturally create that excitement, right? Because it is innovative, right? Because it brings in new things. So that sheer element of innovation brings that wow factor or the excitement in the customers. But is it only high-tech product differentiation can make customers advocate for you? Or is it, do you agree that great product expertise is one thing and working around it to know how can it suit somebody is one thing? That's your opinion on it.
All right, Shankar, again, another very interesting question. And please bear with me because this question touches upon a lot of aspects of customer journey. Okay. A great technology is just a piece of technology unless and until it can be applied and deliver results, either up to the or beyond expectation of a user. Right? I may create a great technology and it just stays there because I don't know where to apply, or it doesn't really solve what I want to have technology for, then it's of no use. And that's where, again, I will go with what Kalpana said. It's not just having a great technology, but having a technology which can be relevant to the person who's seeking that technology, right? And it starts way before in the journey. Even before a thought of creating a new product comes, or when we start creating a new product as a thought, are we involving our future users, customers into the thought process of how do we design it? How do we build it? Small things. I'll give you a great example. Like Legion is one of the gaming laptops, currently leading gaming laptops that we have launched in the market. When we were designing Legion, we actually reached out to 7,800 customers who are gamers and non-gamers across the globe, trying to understand what are the things that are critical for them when they look at a particular product. What are the current problems? What are the current things that are not, helping them? And can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. I think somebody.
Okay, so it starts even way before that, and then as Kalpana rightly said, when a customer is looking for a product, easy getting the information. The example I gave of PC Pal, we don't have a product, but this vendor, this competitor of ours have it. Keeping that customer in the center of everything. See, you're here to serve the customer. Your product is just a means of serving the customer.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah. Sorry, you're saying something.
And then as Kalpana rightly said, that, across the customer journey, right from the time a customer is researching for a product, is he getting the right information, the competitive information, comparison, price, features? Is he getting information the shortest possible time in whichever mode or a channel he's accessing that or wanting that information for, to the point that he does a transaction, which is actual purchase of product? Then using the product, delivery of the product, was it delivered on time? Did he get the feedback? Was it in the right format? Whatever. Then comes the usage. Then comes the possible support request he may have, an upsell, cross-sell. So it doesn't even stop at delivering product. Like Amandeep talked about delivering a product. This goes way beyond. because a customer is
Understand.
not just about a product, it's the entire ecosystem. Every individual, whether it's your employee, whether it's a channel partner who's representing your company, whether it's a vendor partner who's trying to deliver a service, each one of them are empowered to add into that experience.
Absolutely. But I just want to put a slightly, not a, I would say, a question which is more specific to industries. Is it that, most of our marketing guys, if I talk to, they will say, we need to create customer advocates, and you guys talk to customers and you are the people who are supposed to create it. But I have worked in different industries, you worked in different industries, possibly wherever you've got a chance. Is it difficult and or easy depending on industry to create advocates? Like, if I have to give my opinion first, let me answer that question. I feel technology products is easier, and intangible products are much difficult because of purely the tangibility and innovativity factor. Your quick take on it.
I think creating an advocate is not about, it's not about which industry is easier and which industry is difficult. And
Okay.
I understand when you say tangible and non-tangible, because something that you can touch and feel, it's easy to talk about. It's easy to sell, is what is thought about. And what is non-tangible is also difficult to explain, even from a customer's point of view. So it's more
Absolutely.
like, it's more like when you're talking about quality versus quantity, numbers versus emotions. A lot of things come into it. So yes, from a product expression perspective, it might be easier because you can define a product and see it, the color is seen, everything is seen. But it's not necessary. It's easy to get an advocate who's expressing an experience as a whole, which is not limited to product. Because an experience is not just the physical product, it's everything that is associated, everything that can be expressed in a physical form, and an experience a customer has while using the product, which is not expressed in a physical form. Right. So while in a physical product, you can see a product, but to create advocates, it goes way beyond just being able to talk about a product.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'll turn to Vaishali now, and probably the point also I was trying to make is how far you can reduce the human intervention in this entire journey, because the mistakes are also apparently being a human, right? That's, you can have it Six Sigma type process, but obviously that's where the environments and the external factors and experiences change. My question to you is, Vaishali, in the retail industry, now the retail industry, when I say, I look at it in two ways. One is the e-commerce retail and one is the physical retail. Okay. Traditionally, all the digital players have incentivized their customers to be advocate, because I believe the industry behaves that way. They don't have any option of all the processes which Anuradha mentioned, or even Kalpana mentioned, that we go through a lot of things, and you are also explaining me about a demo and things. These are not there in that place where incentivizing becomes an important. How, but that particular strategy has not worked that much in the physical retail front. Why, and what is your strategy to counter it?
Yeah. We as an organization, we believe that it's a relationship with the customer that matters. Okay, so once the customer enters the ecosystem or is a prospect, it is the way how you are going to give your best services to the customer and how you are going to exceed the expectations which the customer has. And that is where you're going to build on it and hence generate customer advocates. So it's a relationship, and I think it's more emotional attachment with a brand. Our kind of product, we ensure that we give first the best services, and then we approach the customer for sharing a feedback. Okay, so I would just take you to a thing we tested, like our leadership team went on the field and met our customers to get a real understanding and a feedback. With that, we developed strategies from the customer walking in our store till the time we do the booking of the product, then the delivery, then the assembly, and the post sale services. So it's a long journey, and we have to ensure that we give correct service to the customer and a complete way service where the customer is finally satisfied. Okay, so for
Correct.
us the situation is, so for us the situation is a bit different than an e-commerce player. We have a chance for physical, as you said, a
Yeah.
physical touch. Yeah, so we do have a chance for it, and we do build on that. So it is, we look for a very positive moment, and then we ask for a blog or a
Got it.
testimonial from a customer, and trust me, in 80% of the cases, it really works, where the customer,
So you
happy
don't
customer
stay.
would give. Yeah.
So so what I want to tell you is that I understand. So that's a permanent kind of, you have a customer who will stay advocate about a particular experience for a pretty long time, because probably the recall is more emotional in that sense. Whereas incentivizing is a reward based. The
Yes.
emotional quotients are pretty low, and I think that is the takeaway. Now I'm getting into my last round of questions. I think almost time, but so one quick question to all, and I'll go to Vaishali first. Vaishali, tell me the when do you realize that the customer has crossed the level of delight to an advocacy? Now this customer will is my customer. He'll talk about my customer. What is that one thing you probably noticed, experience? You want to just throw some light on it quickly? 1 minute.
I think, yeah, quickly, I would say the NPS score is definitely a tested methodology, where a promoter is what we bank on, and we have very heavy targets on generating promoters, and that's a clear-cut thing, that a heavy promoter score is definitely a customer who's going to talk good about it, and in our kind of business, word of mouth is what is going to work.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Word of mouth is the line which we didn't use in our discussion, I think, till now. I think that's one of the biggest mantra of creating advocacy. Another, the question is, we like it or not, social image is created by consumers today by expressing their experience, right? And we can do a lot of things, but still it appears in front of our face that this is what the image is. And while we understand there are a lot of external factors to it as well, how do you decide how much is enough for a customer to stay as an advocate? And how much of, and the pertinent question here is, how much of incumbency changes the customer's loyalty towards a brand? I mean, it's a change mindset, right? I mean, I've been with this particular brand so many years. These are some of the roles also play. How do you keep that intact with the customer?
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You have two questions. One is the incumbency, and second is?
The second is there a measurement that this is what, so she mentioned about NPS. Is there any other
Okay.
measurement that, okay, I'll do A, B, C, and I know that now this customer is an advocate?
The measurement beyond NPS is when I get a customer referring my product to another customer. So customer
Okay.
reference, like word of mouth, the customer reference, and both in B2B and B2C, that's a bigger measurement. The measurement is when I have diehard fans for a
Yeah.
sub-brand within a product. In fact, I was telling you about, customers being passionate, a small change in a product design, and I have hundreds of fans talking about whether it's working or being vehemently opposing it, That's the way they relate to it. I think that is way beyond creating customer advocates. It's like loyal fan club, so to say, who believe they own this brand and they have a say in it. That's when I will say, yes, we have hit that mark. That's probably a
Absolutely.
benchmark way high. And in a technology product, it's important because the competition is extremely tough, right?
Right.
And it's a one feature here, there, and that's where it matters. And when you talk about the customer incumbency, I mean, what exactly you mean? What is it that you want me to,
So incumbency, when I say, is that we have brands which are attached to us at a particular period. Post that, the brands are still strong, but the appeal is not there, or probably the consumer mindset gets into an incumbency mode. Now this is enough, it's great, but then can we have a change? That change is again something which is going to impact businesses, right? So how do you keep that going?
I think, and a lot of it is true for technology, because you'll see it again more in the technology world. There is a consistent R&D that goes in. So we are always trying to put forward products which are not only improvised version of the existing products, but having a completely different disruptive technology. Just to give an example, having a rotating laptop, a 360-degree fold laptop was first time introduced by Lenovo, or having a projector which is inbuilt in your laptop, things like that. So we start looking at things which are today very disconnected products but required products, and that brings a disruption. Or today something that nobody has thought of, and each technology company does that. So we want to continue to have our customers to continue to look forward to what's new that a brand is bringing. I mean, all of us know what happens with Apple, right? And that's a known thing. Like, people queue up. Similarly, people don't queue up, but we want them to continue to engage, continue to ask for, and this is how we try and, so to say, get away from that brand fatigue of being with a brand for a long time. We shift it to being more curious about what more this brand is bringing to me, rather than getting bored out of a brand.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Okay, so I'll just come to Kalpana. My last question, Kalpana. I just wanted to emphasize on the word trust. And I believe financial products are very closely associated with that particular piece, because it's very close to the your money and your emotions.
Yeah.
So your financial security. So and advocacy, is it advocacy a symbol of trust? Is my question. I mean, and how do you see that?
It absolutely is, Shankar, because, first and foremost, like Anuradha was mentioning, product is hygiene, right? So in the case of a financial services product, it's very sharp. Either I give you the returns that I promised you, or I'm failing miserably. I mean, there's just black and white. There's no gray. Right? So an Edelweiss Group is known for its product. It's known for the most innovative products, and that's how it's been. Be it a PMS kind of a solution for a high-end, or it could be a life insurance or a general insurance, right? We've come up with a car insurance product, which is relevant for these times, where we are saying that, you will use you will be charged only as, whenever you take the car to the road. So if for 3 days the car is not being used, you will not be charged. I mean, these are all innovative ways in which you think about real customer needs, unearth the needs, come up with the product. So first and foremost, trust, returns, that's hygiene. But you also need to have, the DNA, the core DNA has to be, what is it that I can do which is best for the customer? Proof, of course, is ultimately, we are hard-nosed businesses, right? If it doesn't show up in your ROI, I can talk till the cows come home. Nobody is going to take me seriously. So it matters whether my persistency in the case of a life insurance product, is it where it is meant to be? Because advocacy is, if I don't believe in your product, I'm not going to renew the policy with you year on year. So they are very hardcore. So while NPS and things like that, CSAT, etc., are very good indicators, I think there are very clear and very, very hard, that, what is the percentage of your customers that are actually your advocates, and they put the money where their mouth is, which is that they actually buy and renew your contract year on year. That's a clear proof that you got an advocate here. Hold on to them tight. Cross-sell products that are relevant to him, and then you've got customers for life, right?
Okay, perfect, Kalpana. I think so. Hold on tight. That's the last point, which says you find your advocates by going through all these things which the lady spoke about in terms of what do we do to get an advocate. But then after that is what the very key important message is, that you hold on tight to them. And probably another session to find how we hold on tight to our advocates. I think that's where it is heading to. But it was nice. It's a great insight. Some of the key takeaways, the intent, the passion. I think what's beyond advocacy also probably we could discover. Some of the advocates under wrap, some of the advocates pretend to be an advocate, which is the social image, and so on and so forth. I think with the limited time, I believe there was a lot of insights, and I really appreciate your thoughts. That's it from my side. Nisha, over to you. And sorry, we could take 10 minutes more than what you could give us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shankar.
Thank you so much, Ms. Iyer. That is definitely a very interesting discussion. We have very positive remarks from all of the audience. And there are a lot more questions, which we'll answer via email in the interest of time. And thank you, ladies, for the engaging discussion and valid points that you shared with us. Since we don't have time for any questions today, we'll conclude today's session. But just before we sign off, again, if you have any questions on Infobip solutions that have been discussed today, feel free to contact CXM Events via WhatsApp or email. We would be happy to set up a session with them. And thank you again, speakers, partners, and attendees for your time. Have a great day and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.